But now the people you're approaching, they don't even know how to spell the word ideology. Did you know that? They don't. Because Ruto is very good at hooking. You know, like he will study and he will know this crowd, this is the specific thing that they want. And he will come with very simple language and pamper them. And of course, he's coming from an evil side. Another person who does that very well is Donald Trump. You know, like someone who's not a Gen Z feels like they can come there to a crowd that genuinely, you know, like also wants to learn. And from me, from my perspective, comes from, you know, like even with the people I train, comes from a lot of observation. And do you know who uses some of these tactics that I'm talking about? Do you guys know?
Who?
William Ruto.
Right.
The 2026 annual conference of the Kenyan Nurses Association of America, KNAA, is happening in Baltimore from September 17th through the 19th at the Sheraton Baltimore North Hotel in Towson, Maryland. Early registration is now open at $250 until July 1st. After that, it goes up to $300. Vendor and sponsorship opportunities are also available, but space is limited. Registration details are on your screen, and the links are pinned in the comments and description below. For inquiries, call 848-224-1201 or email info@kenyannurseusa.org. That's info@kenyannurseusa.org. One very important part, you know, like to get especially traction with the older generation is whenever, you know, like especially when the messaging is being created, there has to be the word you used more than I and we. And I know this is very unusual. This is part of a very rigorous training we do when we are like, especially because this is a sales job that you're trying to do. You're trying to sell people to the fact that if we have a firm ideology, we may be able to achieve the change that we're looking for much faster. But now the people you're approaching, they don't even know how to spell the word ideology. Did you know that? They don't. And by saying they don't even know how to spell the word ideology, when you throw a word like ideology, I'll tell you 90% of the people do not know what you're talking about.
Ideology.
Yes, they do. Let me be honest, they do not know, and that's just the reality.
They will
Ali,
say it's a
spell
study of
of the
ideas.
current state.
It is a
Spell
study of
ideology,
ideas.
Ali.
I use spell check.
Ideology is a study of ideas.
Yeah. So unaona, when you just go, you know, like confront the average person where people are currently today. In fact, what informs most people, we live in an unfortunate time where people do not read deeply, they do not think deeply, and that's the current state, you know, like you can't change people. So where information comes from, what informs people's choices is small bits and bytes of information coming throughout the day. Screenshot, forward, sent as received. And those things sometimes nakuja nyingi, you know, like when someone looks at something, a picture that has been forwarded, they're not even gonna bother to check whether this is real or this is you know, like for example, Ali receives money from Ruto. You know, like if it's forwarded, you know, people will enjoy it so much. No one will even bother to check whether this is, you know, something that someone just created. And unfortunately, that is the current state. So when you're looking to do that sales job and bring people from where they are, you know, where they're looking, you know, like they're asking you, are you guys creating a political party or what? And then you start from ideology. Remember, this guy doesn't even know how to spell that word. So there has to be an effort to find the current state. Let's say the current state is what Omosh was talking about. People know about political parties. So how would approach that person? I would not use, you know, like a complex spelling like ideology. I would ask them, you know, like, tell me more about, you know, like what you expect from a political party. When you start from that point, they'll start now talking about other things that you can identify with that can be helped by the ideology. So atasema, you know, like mimi nimekuwa nikituma, like pesa nyingi, like for medical services in Kenya, like it's really, like hurting my pocket. So now that's a point that you can cling on to, because he told you that you did not introduce that to him, because the let me not call it a mistake, it's a natural way in which humans communicate.
Right.
The instinct is to come with what I have. If I'm selling these covers, my instinct is to come and tell you how amazing this phone cover is. I don't even know whether you need, I don't even know if you have a phone. I don't know if you have a phone or you use, like those old school landlines. I don't even know. So and that's one of the most difficult parts to train in sales, and it's something that you have to change your thinking completely, where you're happy to hear, those things that you cringe when you hear, oh my God, huyu mtu ni mtu wa Ruto. So when you have to train yourself, like to instinctively, like try to listen to him and try to get the point that will align with what you're trying to sell. And that, I promise you, is going to give you results that are very unbelievable. Joy.
So thank you for sharing. And I feel like, if, we're gearing up to discuss what our pre-election strategy is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is where we're talking about bridging that gap.
Yes.
If we said, hey, Ali, we are gearing up to do this and this and that, we really want to engage, because I think we have an easier time engaging with people that are our age.
Yeah.
But I think, obviously, because we are raised by different media, different everything, there's always going to be that gap. If we said, hey, Ali, come to one of our meetings, can you train these people on how we can tweak, because we can do it for people our age. We know the things they love, the music they love, the events they like, what kind of music they want to listen to. But if we came up to you and said, we really want to do this project in the next year before the election, we're starting out our strategy, can you come train our teams on how we can communicate with the older generation? Would you be open to that?
Absolutely, with an invoice. With an invoice.
With that volunteer basis.
Yeah, but hey, but one area where I agree with you, we have not done a very good job also in being as engaged in these processes, especially after that moment fizzled out. It's kind of like everybody went on with their own
life lived.
Yeah, life lived. Everybody went on with their own business. But I agree. So once there's that environment where like someone who's not a Gen Z feels like they can come there to a crowd that genuinely like also wants to learn, and from my perspective, comes from like even with the people I train, comes from a lot of observation. And do you know who uses some of these tactics that I'm talking about? Do you guys know?
Who?
William Ruto.
Right.
All right.
So this tactic can be used both by good people and by bad people. But the problem is that the evil people have mastered it. They know it, and they're the ones who pay attention when they're being taught. They're like, because Ruto is very good at hooking, like he will study and he will know this crowd, this is the specific thing that they want. And he will come with very simple language and pamper them. And of course, he's coming from an evil side. Another person who does that very well is Donald Trump.
Right.
So part of the problem that I have seen is that the people who are advocating for the good stuff, never they already internally they believe this is something good I'm selling, so people should want to buy it. But that's not how things work. So you have to be willing to put yourself in a position where I know this is something good, I know this is a good product, it's a healthy product, but you have to be willing to put yourself in a position where you're going to talk to someone and they'll tell you, oh, by the way, hiyo kitu mnafanya ni useless. And now akisema hiyo ni useless, you come down and tell him, okay, like tell me what it is that you would like to see.
Yeah.
Not my idea is good and you should listen to it.
Listen, I totally agree with you. And First of all, we are here to invite all of you to be a part of these conversations.
Right.
That's our primary job here.
Mhm.
Okay. And I'd also the one point I would make is that we also have to recognize that when a William Ruto or a Donald Trump is talking to you, they're accessing a software that's already been installed for 60 years or 400 years, depending respectively on who you're talking to. When we start talking about reprogramming that software, it's always going to be farther uphill.
Yes.
You're selling medicine.
Mhm.
You're not selling what's sweet. You're selling the medicine,
Yes.
right? Like, and some people understand it intuitively, and you'd be surprised by the people who do. They come from all sorts of backgrounds. It's not like wealthy college education. No, like, some of the places where these conversations are happening would surprise you, right? But we have a harder job. We need all the allies that we can get. It will never be, it cannot be successful if it's just a Gen Z thing. It has to be multi-generational,
Absolutely.
and ultimately this is we are all fighting for the same thing, for the benefit of all of us, right? The only thing that makes 625 different is we are saying it's deeper than a political party. It is an ideology. But we definitely need Ali to be part of a conversation to say, how do you start selling an ideology to begin with? The other point I'd make is we are at the very beginning of these conversations, because all of the people of 625 are coming from different political dispensations. Some are Christians, some don't identify with Christianity. Some are still have tribal software, some don't have tribal software. But the thing that binds them together is they all understand that there's something deeper that needs to be
Yes.
happening,
Mhm.
right? So it would be easier if I was just coming to sell you on socialism, right? Because Luca personally could make a case for that, right?
Yeah.
But 625 recognizes that has to be something that we all have to interrogate together. And that conversation is urgent and it needs to be happening now. But to the point that is being made is life is happening while all of that is happening.
Yes.
So your
Right.
credibility comes from being able
Being
to
connecting,
how
yeah.
can you address my needs right now?
While life is happening.
My election is happening now. I'm
Yeah.
in jail right now, or my livelihood is suffering right now. We know we have to be there.
Yeah.
But those, to be completely honest, for us, I believe if it's not an access point, it's deeply connected to addressing this question of how do we create something that cannot be bought, that cannot be killed,
Yes.
that cannot be destroyed by the tools of the current political class that we have.
And that's the challenge, right? We wanna make sure we are working on the things that build a sustainable future, but also not become fully disconnected from the people
Yes.
that the Kenyan community in general.
Yes.
And it's not easy, right? Because a lot of us are younger, whatever, which is why we need people like you, right? To
Yes.
come and kind of tweak our, ideas. Because the best ideas are the ideas that are worked on by
Yeah.
by
And
a
the other
large
interesting part, and as you said, maybe I should be there training people, moving from the current state to the desired state.
Right.
If I asked you to just make a guess, like in sales, how many times do you think someone should contact you? If you're a salesperson, for example, now just make a guess. How many
7
times should you
times,
contact someone before you say that, okay, this is a very cold, there's no point in following it up with no response, by the way? How many
7 touches. 7.
It's 8 touches, so you're close to that. It's normally 8 touches, and those 8 touches, depending on whether you could be selling a plane. If you're selling a plane, those 8 touches could be over 2-3 years. You could be selling, like phone covers. Phone covers, that's something different. That has very few touches. So I think the important thing is making sure that whenever you're, like getting someone from the current state, you're not looking to get them to the desired state immediately. There are those exceptions who will listen to your idea and they're like, this is actually a very spectacular idea. Those ones happen, but those are like maybe 1 in 20, So, but for you to get that other 19, because that other 19 is the one that you're trying to get, is you have to start from where they are. They know about political parties. They know that you need a vehicle to be able to advocate change, let's start from there, and then do not necessarily bash that idea as, oh, this hasn't worked before. Because when you say this hasn't worked, guess what? All the good stuff that you're saying after that now no longer matters. So it's whatever he says, whatever he brings up, whether ni diaspora remittances, whether ni healthcare in Kenya, whether ni whatever he brings up, you now launch onto that, and you're actually writing it down so that you don't forget. So kama uliongea na Omosh, unajua Omosh, these are the 2-3 things that touched on him. So in the next conversation 3 weeks later, you're starting that conversation. You're not telling him, but you're starting that conversation from that point. So Sasa Omosh, he was very hard, but now he's getting a bit softer. Hii kitu inaitwa socialism. How do you spell socialism? He starts to get softer. And that's how...
Umesikia, Joy?
Yes.
Tuna spell after this. Spelling class.
Yeah, that's how you win.
Ideology.
Yes. That's how you win converts. And that's how these guys on this other side, they have learned how to do that. Yeah. They have mastered it. You know, like na tena wao hawana emotions. You see a guy like Ruto, unaweza kumtukana, but as long as he knows that you will be able to push his agenda, he'll become friends with you. He'll even make you a cabinet minister. He'll even make you a cabinet minister, because there has to be a look at the long game. So unaweza kumwongea na Ali akasema I'm a Gen Z now, tafash bana, you know, and then you get turned off by that. But then maybe Ali can be an ally in something that, even despite kuwa amesema ma Gen Z ni tafash, that may help get, you know, like this other crowd that's unreceptive to listen and to come and participate and be able to move forward. And I think if we start slowly moving in that direction as a collective, I think we can go very far. Because I know within diaspora, we have there's voter registration coming up, there's election 2027 coming up. That is a big elephant in the room that we cannot ignore. So again, I know you talked about, you know, like election 2020, because that's on top of everyone's mind. As people in 625, you guys cannot ignore that, especially if you're looking to get watu kama kina Omosh, who are already mapping who they're gonna vote for MCA, who they're gonna vote for if they're gonna be traveling back home,
political class.
Yeah. So because that's on top of people's minds,